We had a big interview over the weekend. We dropped it Saturday morning with a guy named Colin Carroll. And he is one of the now fired accused leakers from the Pentagon. So he worked as the chief of staff for the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Steve Feinberg. And he was fired along with two other guys over there, one of whom Tucker had on his show and the other, Darren, hasn't yet spoken out. And any one of these three guys could be placed in handcuffs at any point these days. They all deny that they leaked anything. And this was an hour and a half chance to listen to one of the accused, now fired guys, military guys, served us honorably, deployed to Afghanistan multiple times. And I want to give the audience now, listening on a weekday, a chance to hear a bit from Colin. Here's SOT 31.
The reason I'm here today, quite frankly, is because I feel wrongly accused. I know for certain I did not leak anything. I know for certain I didn't do anything else that's criminal either. And after his interview on Fox and Friends this week, I felt like, one, I'm being told I can't talk about my investigation, but he is directing the investigation and on national television basically saying everyone were criminal, or maybe not, maybe we're going to be exonerated. I don't know. It was kind of a bit of it's hard to interpret what was going on. Yeah, I'm here because I want the American public to know the truth. I think that your viewers, you've got a lot of viewers, and I think this is a good medium to do that. And I think from the truth, I will be able to show that I am innocent and hopefully be publicly exonerated, which is really what I'm looking for.
So, Emily, we've had the advantage now on Monday of seeing all of our viewer mail, and it came in droves about this interview. It's posted on our YouTube right now and on our podcast feed. And there wasn't one who had any doubts about him. And they had a myriad of reasons why they believed him fully, but there wasn't even one listener or viewer of the interview, which again is about 90 minutes long, who had even a scintilla of doubt that he was a truth teller. They could hear him do certain things that truth tellers do, like run toward the story, run toward the event that they're being asked about, in this case, leaks, want a full exploration of it, not just faking, no ums and ahs as they try to dance past it or away from it. And I totally understand what they're saying. I when listening to that guy, my own personal opinion is he didn't do it. I don't know why he was fired, but he spoke of a Pentagon that is having a lot of internal fights with personnel, and these are Pete's guys. President Trump, even over the weekend, he gave an interview to the Atlantic magazine, still reiterating that he's in Pete's corner, which is good, but it does seem like there's a bit of personnel problems going on inside the Pentagon.
Yeah, so this is such an interesting story, and that was a great interview. I agree completely. I had the same reaction to him as the audience did and as you did. People can watch Dan on Tucker Show, Dan Caldwell on Tucker Show as well, and we'll likely come away with a similar conclusion. And even just knowing Dan a little bit, I think that's probably exactly what happened. And there's been some fascinating reporting that basically the paranoia inside the Pentagon about leakers and about people who are trying to subvert Pete Hegseth and the Trump administration is so strong that Pete's own inner circle is turning on itself because they're paranoid about who's leaking and who's not leaking. And so the drop site story about what happened behind the scenes here is that someone who was trying not to leak, Colin, who was trying not to leak, this came out like last week, ends up being accused of leaking when trying to avoid looking like he's leaking. And it's because Casper and probably Hegseth himself.
That's the chief of staff for Pete, Joe Casper.
Yeah, and they are rightfully... Was right. Yeah, but they are correct they're absolutely correct to be paranoid because everybody is out to get them. So they're in this impossible situation where they're trying to implement dramatic reforms of a corrupt institution, and the corrupt institution is fighting back. And in that situation, it's very difficult to not end up getting defeated by the institution because it's extremely powerful and you're this like team that's coming in and trying to quote like drain the swamp. So I feel like that's what's happening here, and it is a really sad story, and I thought your interview really brought that side of it out.
Oh, thank you. I thought I know you do that other show with Ryan Grimm, and he did a great job in his reporting, which advanced the story considerably. Eliana, what she said is exactly right? It's like you've got the deep state, which is a real thing inside the Pentagon, who don't like Pete. Then you've got more neocon Republicans who they're not his number one fans. You know, they accept that he's running DOD.
Pete's, and I'm a neocon.
Yeah, you're
Republican,
a neocon.
Free beacon.
Just saying.
Endorse Pete. I'm a fan of Pete.
But they're not his number one fans. It is fair to say his number one fan, like the main neocon people wanted somebody who was a little bit more bellicose, and Pete's an acceptable choice. There are more restrainers. There are more vocal restrainers, like more on the Tucker wing that they could have gone with. So I think they accepted Pete. But in any event, my point is simply his main faction of support should be MAGA. And I don't know exactly who those guys are within the Pentagon, but I think all these forces have some of the forces inside the Pentagon feeling unsteady. And he's been under constant barrage since he took the oath, since before he took the oath, all the way up to now. Go ahead.
I have a totally different take on this from you guys. I like the secretary. I was supportive of him because he was the president's choice. And I viewed him not as part of either the MAGA restrainer faction or the neocon faction. I thought he had support from both sides. And in that sense was a good reflection of this administration. And most importantly, he had the trust of the president. And he's a fighter in the press, which makes him a good fit for this administration. However, with all of this stuff, it was clear that Pete would be besieged by the press this entire time. These guys, Colin Carroll, Darren Selnick, Dan Caldwell, Joe Casper, these are four of the people. You never heard of them before because they're not important, really, people. They served at the pleasure of the Secretary of Defense and of the President of the United States. You know what you don't do when you're fired from an administration is go run to Tucker Carlson and run to the Megyn Kelly Show. I mean, great interview, Megyn. Like they're wonderful. Of course, the press is going to cover this. Run to Politico and run your mouth about what happened inside. It's a betrayal of the administration. It's a betrayal of the oath that they took when they went in. And if they think this is helping matters, it is not. And I'm struck by the fact that all of these guys are doing it and presumably were vetted by this administration for an administration that puts such a huge premium on vetting loyalists. Okay?
I know, but does the loyalty, is it supposed to, but is the loyalty supposed to stay in place even once they fired you and basically accused you publicly of being a felon? Like the reason those two guys, both of whom had very nice things to say about Pete Hegseth, came forward is because they feel like their reputation is being completely destroyed. And it was, I can speak to Colin, it was very important to him to come out and say, I did not do this.
I listened to the whole thing. And I think if you go serve, you leave and you keep your mouth shut. That's my personal view.
But they didn't fire him quietly, Eliana. He's not supposed to defend himself.
I understand that. And that's a risk they take. And I don't think that he said, he said, I don't really know. He's not a Pete guy. Dan Caldwell was a Pete guy. Look, I don't think Pete went and threw his own people under the bus. Like, nobody looks good in all of this. But to me, this reflects poorly on the administration's vetting. It reflects poorly on their personnel choices. And it reflects poorly on, how they pick people they thought would be loyal to them. Like, the whole thing stinks. And by the way, I would say I have no idea what happened here. I have no read of this and no idea what the drama was on the inside. But I don't think anybody does.
I think I do. I disagree. I now feel like I have it figured out. But go ahead, Emily.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, from what we know, Colin seems to have actually been trying to be loyal. And that's what's frustrating to him and to Caldwell is that they were actually, like, he got the call from Dan Littman of Politico and tried to do the right thing and work it up the chain and still ended up getting booted and then smeared in the public. And so I guess maybe I see what Eliana said. I'm a little bit more sympathetic to them afterwards coming out and explaining what happened because they're making this case that it's important for the public to know about the mess that's happening behind closed doors.
This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro, the bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran. They're meeting with the goal of displacing the US dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, global demand for US dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings potentially. While this transition won't happen overnight, the Rio Reset in July marks a pivotal moment when BRICS objectives move decisively from theoretical possibility toward inevitable reality, according to many experts. Learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to 989898. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to 989898 today. Message and data rates apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.